move from the old world, where it was predominantly voice. Businesses were very siloed. We had dedicated assets for specific services. We also had discrete services, and it was predominantly labor-based. Now coming back to voice, I want to touch on this in a minute. But as an industry, we need to start shifting towards the new world. In the new world, if you may, sorry, I have to do this manual thing. So the new world is moving towards a more industrialized environment, an environment where you have multi-channel services alongside voice services. You have a degree of automation, a focus on outcome-based pricing models. It could be transactional based. It's also about channel harmonization. So voice is one channel, and you have non-voice, social, and so on, the other channels. So how do you develop a single view of the customer touching the particular brand, the client, and have a degree of channel harmonization throughout? Now, you will not get it consistent completely, but it's about harmonizing those channels. And also the ability to access talent from wherever you want. Now, to do this, you must also understand that you've got to deal with the four forces that I mentioned earlier, which is social, mobile, big data or information, and cloud. And all of these are playing out in a role where you as an organization, or you as a leader, a business leader, need to look for sustainable growth. I just love the mayor's waves just now, where as with sustainability, because I think that's very important. For business, it's about sustainable growth. It's not about growing for the sake of growing. If you do not make profits, you're going to be out of the business, right? Now, it's about sustainable growth, making the right investments in the right types of businesses. And also, how can you be competitive and continue to be at the leading edge of the competition, gaining market share as well. And lastly, about adapting. How can you remain agile and adapt to the changing world around you? So with all these in mind, we move into the Gartner radar. This is a new thing that we developed. Now it's a bit confusing, so I've got to take you through this. Now if you look at the Gartner radar, it's basically on the top right-hand corner, there you go, you have socio-political factors. And at 4 o'clock, you have competitive landscape, followed by technology and innovation. And at the bottom here, you have the market trends and the buyer needs over here, buyer behavior. So what we did was this: we took all these factors and we developed a radar, trying to understand where does it fit in to the industry that we cover today. So, for example, if you were to look at the socio-political factors, up on the right-hand corner here, you've got risk management, you've got regulation, you've got smarter cities and so on. All of that are starting to play out. And if you look at the competitive landscape, you have issues like strategic partnership, as I mentioned earlier, about the ecosystem, develop the level of partnership that's deep enough and broad enough to take your organization along the multi-channel wave or social. It's around labor arbitrage and how that is diminishing, because today you need to be able to automate certain functions to increase productivity. So remember, cost is one factor to play with, but you also need to look at it from a productivity point of view. And then, of course, if you look at the trends itself, you have things around consumerization of business processes, you have the total cost of ownership, you've got BPaaS, you've got platform-based BPO, and a number of other things. And if you look at the technology aspect of it, you have things like analytics, you have artificial intelligence, which are a bit further from the center. Now, the way we measure this is over here. So if it's further away, it's about 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, and then 12 months from it going mainstream. So this is basically the radar. Now, so looking at all the different criteria that have been laid out. Now, we think that there's a huge opportunity in all this uncertainty for the contact center BPO industry. Now, a Gartner presentation will not be a Gartner presentation without numbers. So one thing I've got to show you is this. As an industry, now we call it business process services, BPO. You'll notice that the dark blue portion where you have traditional BPO and you've got BPaaS. Now both of that actually make up the entire business process services market. Today it is about $147 billion worth, and it's growing at 5.4% CAGR. Now if you consider what the growth rate for IT services is, which is at 4.5, I think we're in a very, very good position from a growth perspective over the next few years. So huge opportunities on that front. And some of the predictions that we've made over the last 12 to 18 months. Now I'll draw your attention to the bottom two predictions. When we looked at all these various factors and forces at play, we realized that within the next few years there will be some change to the industry. So the first prediction that we had was by 2016, non-voice analytics, automated and cloud-based services, BPaaS, will account for 40% of the total customer management contact center business. 40%. Today we are about 23 to 25%. This is growing quite significantly. It's growing from a lower base, that is why you see a higher growth rate. But it is quite significant for the industry. In fact, I'm currently doing this particular research project called the Magic Quadrant, and there are about 6 companies that have claimed to have more than 30% of their revenue. These are the large 6. More than 30% of their revenue coming from such services. The margins are better as well. The second thing, the bottom last, is that 20% of IT outsourcing purchases will be replaced by business process services. So it's shifting. Now one of the things that we called out last year was the fact that by 2017, the Chief Marketing Officer's technology budget will be larger than that of a CIO by 2017. Why? Because today, technology is the business. So, as an industry, we need to be ready for it. We need to make investments as we move forward. Now, I want to share some data that we collected at the beginning of this year, just to help validate some of the positions that we have. The first one is around budgets. So this is from a survey we did in February. The survey, which is the annual IT budget survey. What we did was we surveyed about 1,500 odd decision makers. What are they investing in as they move forward? So if you look at it, you'll notice that at number 10 is customer experience management. Very important. But what's also important is the fact that above it, in number 9, you have analytics. It's an important part of our business as well. You also have mobile technologies. So some of the services that are offered through multi-channel services are coming through in mobile services. And of course, right on the top, we have a segment called process as a service. So we're starting to see a lot of activity around and investments going into cloud computing, specifically around process as a service as well. So bear in mind, companies are starting to make the right decisions, and they're putting the money where their mouth is, into cloud, into some of these engagements around analytics, as well as around mobility. Next, we asked them, from an outsourcing perspective, where are you currently outsourcing, first of all? And if you are, what percentage of them are outsourcing? So we had 26% that were currently outsourcing. And for those who are not outsourcing, are you planning to outsource? 24% said yes, they are planning to outsource over the next 12 months. So which means that we have a similar amount of growth opportunity from where we are today. 26% outsourcing, 24% planning to outsource. And as an industry, I think we're in a very good position when we look at the total outsourcing market for business process